If you go into the woods one more time,
I lack it in the woods.
I'm going to...
Did you know that Bill and Ted originally, it was supposed to be a van, not a phone booth? Fuck primitive radio gods. It was going to be a van, but maybe a van was just too, it didn't have...
Was this one of the other things on the trivia list you read right before this podcast?
I told you there's a subreddit, and
Okay.
it's just ripe with this treasure.
This is the trailer on the IGN channel. It is 1 minute and 32 seconds long. You know,
a van would have been more realistic.
this reaction
fitting all those people in.
This reaction is going into a time capsule. And what more do you want to pull out of a time capsule than a reaction to the trailer, the teaser trailer to Bill and Ted Face the Music, like 20 years from now?
How do they even explain what Bill and Ted is? I don't think we've adequately done that.
You know, it's been 30 years since the last film. 30 years.
Okay.
Just why? Anyway, let's watch it. It's at 0. It says Orion Pictures. I thought Orion Pictures went... I've just paused it. Didn't they go bankrupt? Or is that Canon Pictures? Or is it both of them? Because I feel like I haven't seen Orion since like the early 90s.
Maybe this is a goof. It's just nostalgia.
So there is...
It's what you saw last time, and it's what you need to see now.
So they're saying... So
Are
possibly...
there legal ramifications for that?
So possibly it's just a card, and
Repping
there
something
is
that's
no
already-
there is no Orion Pictures. It's just like saying movie rama, like it's just something from the past,
It's
just to get people in the
a piece
mood.
of high art that they're going to...
San Francisco,
no, fuck
Seattle.
that. No, Mage for the Brazilian UFO. They're gonna pick up some travelers.
Okay, just don't. Let's not confuse people. They're people. We're trying to get people thinking about good times in the late '80s in California and Bill and Ted, and they don't need to be thinking about aliens.
The roundness of the good earth.
In the name of George Carlin, let's actually watch this.
Oh no! You know, they said it was
Yeah,
they
he
wanted
died.
Sean Connery to play that part initially. They wanted someone a bit more serious. Can you imagine anyone else in that part?
Yeah, George Carlin's not that good. He's not a great actor. Have you seen like old clips of like The Weatherman? Yeah, that's Oscar material.
But he brought a little something to it. I mean, this was not something that he needed to be an amazing actor.
I think
for.
he should have played Kane in
He just
RoboCop
had to be
2.
himself.
Do you remember that character?
Vaguely.
He's like a drug addict.
Doesn't RoboCop seem like something William Sadler should have been in? Was he?
No,
Doesn't he have that feeling
You're
of like that
just-
sort of antiseptic sort of Aryan
I know.
proletariat?
You're just you're comparing him to the actor that plays RoboCop, Peter Weller.
There's something about both he and Peter Weller that gives you a feeling of sort of
Would you throw Ed Harris in there?
there were a lot of no.
Or
Ed
Too Much
Harris,
Humanity.
he has some fiery warmth, some Aries magnetism that just comes through no matter what he does. So, and it's an innocence too.
Where you don't.
There's just something about him that seems very naive.
And you think William Sadler and Peter Weller have that cold Aryan quality where
But not just
they could have pushed the button to release the gas with zero remorse.
yes, and not
And
just
Ed Harris would have had a moral
they have the
crisis.
feeling of those Swedish cooking videos that they play on PBS occasionally, where they're just like coolly slicing up the scuttlefish, and it's squirming, and they're like, oh, I'll put some lemon juice on it, and it's like.
No, I haven't seen that.
But there's that
That
feeling
sounds
of like
terrible.
not connecting with humanity and
Jesus
empathy
Christ.
and feelings.
Okay.
There were a lot of villains
Explain.
like that in the 80s.
Okay, we are at 3 seconds.
I had to get that in. Our internet is not very good though, so this might be misleading. God. Wait. Oh, wait. This is
Okay.
terrible, but there's a Madame Tussauds feeling to this.
Okay.
What did they do to them? They don't look that way in pictures right now. I just saw them
Oh,
for
yeah.
that commencement speech.
Leathern.
But it's like, did they make up them?
No, you're supposed to say
Did
Shannon.
they do the Nikki
wax.
tutorials full coverage and it just didn't work on their skin?
You know what it reminds me of? Whatever they did to Paul Rubens for the Pee-wee reboot from like a couple of years ago.
Yes, it's like they say, you're old, so we need to slap a lot of makeup on you. And then by the end, they just look like they've been embalmed.
Didn't they actually pull his skin back with clips?
There's something about it that's so creepy. Just let them be themselves.
Just let them be
They
old.
look younger without.
Oh, you know
the
what a
mask
terrible
of
example, a
makeup.
recent example of this is the Dumb and Dumber sequel, where they try to make Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels look like they looked in 1994, and they're older men now. They just don't look that way.
I mean, no matter how you've aged, whatever you are is what you are, and
No,
you should be cool with that.
I totally agree, Mariah, but what they're doing is
They're making them look like the robots
saying-
at Chuck E. Cheese.
they're looking at the old footage and saying they need.
I'm getting a Chuck E.
They're
Cheese
looking
vibe.
at the old footage and they're saying they need to look like they looked in the last film as much
See,
as possible.
that bothers me. Why can't we move on? Why can't we have different new... You don't... Adventure Time lets the characters grow and change many times. They go backwards, they go forwards, they become an eel person
Like,
with
what
fins,
if-
but they're always themselves.
What if they revealed these characters and they were both fat guys now?
They did that with Thor, and I really liked that, and I heard that was Chris
like,
Hemsworth's
what if in the Destiny of Bill and Ted,
influence.
they just enjoyed food and they put on weight and they had gray beards and that's just what they
What
looked
if they
like?
had just become ZZ Top?
What
Would
if
that
they
be
were-
okay?
What if they were roadies?
Yes. Any of this could have happened and would have been more original. I'm already judging it.
Like you look into the twinkling eyes of an older roadie and you're like, oh my God, that's Ted Theodore Logan. You used to be Ted Logan. And that
Yeah.
was how the film started. It's like, well, let me tell my story.
Are they afraid that a lot of the younger audience members just won't go along with that? Because I think finally in this day and age, that doesn't matter as much. I really don't think that
And
matters
they're
as
using,
much with YouTube.
you can already
I
tell.
see so many different characters gaining
did you
influence within
catch-
the youth.
Did you catch in the first few seconds they said, you used to play sold-out stadiums and now you're working at bowling alleys. It's like they're doing that angle. Oh, they're down and out.
But they're trying desperately to make them look exactly like they
You're
looked in
down
high
and
school.
out, but you have maintained yourself impeccably.
There's something, and there's something about that is so creepy, that they need to look like they looked in high school. Like high school is the be all and end all of the world. You can't peek beyond that, and we must not age beyond that. It's very bothersome. And I don't think that we're in a day and age where that resonates with a lot of people, even young people. I feel like people want something a little strange, a little weird, a little different. They're like Bill Maher said, people usually cheat not because something is better, but because it's different. And I think we're in a day and age that we get so much thrown
would
at
be
us by the
better
internet that we just want different.
If they looked like...
We're no longer idolizing
they
some Cindy Crawford in a Pepsi commercial.
If they looked like healthy expressions of their actual ages.
Or whatever they are. I mean, age is a number. You can look however you're going to look, but, just don't try to make it something that it's not. Do they have to look exactly like they looked in high school? I think that's a very old school idea of what we need to
Don't you think there are still a
film.
lot of people, even outside of this film, that,
I
that
think-
try to look the way they looked in high school
I
for
don't-
as long as they can?
Tom Cruise, he's one of those people who still has this old school idea of what it needs to be. He just can't be himself.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be a certain kind of leading man at all cost, and you get that comes across strongly in his films.
Okay.
He's putting his butthole on my phone.
Okay, we are at
Just
27.
use his tail.
We are at 27 seconds, and I'm pushing play.
I feel like I'm at Chuck E. Cheese. Oh, there's William Sadler. Okay. I
Wait.
was wondering why he had changed his Twitter
Okay, I'm pausing it at 1 minute, 2
avatar
seconds.
to his
You say there's
Grim
William
Reaper.
Sadler, but if they just took some other guy and put the same makeup on him, would you know the difference?
I do think he has a very distinctive face. Are you saying if they took like the Swedish Chef?
No, I'm
not
saying
from
if they
the Muppets, but
I'm
from
saying
like
if they
that
took
PBS
Peter
show?
Weller and put white face paint on him, would you know the difference?
Maybe, maybe not. He has more of a lean face. And Peter Weller is much older, isn't he? Or did he age very well, or is he dead? Where's his wellness check?
His wellerness check.
We need to go on Facebook and do a wellness check for Peter Weller.
It's like the wheel of misfortune.
It's a very sad wheel.
It's like, you just spin it. It's like, how are we insulting you?
Vanna White is impassive. Also Vanna White, she has one of those sort of antiseptic personalities that somebody could be murdered next to her and she'd still smile.
She could release the gas at Auschwitz. She'd have no problem at all with it. No, I'm not saying she would. I'm just for litigious, lawyerly reasons. I'm saying Vanna White is very concerned about all humanity's struggles and would never do such a thing.
We don't actually know, but
yeah, she might. She might do it.
She could.
Fuck it.
It will be in the realm of possibility. Anything is. But anyway, let's continue down this
this
shitty
Vanna
rabbit hole.
White.
Let's spin this wheel,
It's
Shannon.
Vanna White power.
Oh, fuck you.
Okay.
Mainstream.
When I saw Bill and Ted's
But
Bogus Journey,
this is what they.
and they
this is an old school idea, even Vanna White,
They-
of what people want. This beauty.
when they
queen
introduced
idea.
the character of Death in Bogus Journey, I thought, oh, they've ripped off. There's very famously the Swedish Knight has a chess match with Death in what's the name of the film by Bergman? The Seventh Seal.
Yeah, we're talking. Okay, yes.
There's the Grim Reaper in the Seventh Seal, and
Are we
obviously
talking about the one Demi Moore was in? Demi Moore.
no, Demi Moore isn't. She isn't on this road trip at any of its stops. She's not even a lot lizard at a truck stop on this journey. She's spinning around a pole with her silicone tits, which she was so
Did she
proud
have
of for
them removed?
striptease. I have no idea.
I think a lot of people are having them removed now.
I
think there was a craze for it, and now it's not as attractive or comfortable, I hear.
What room at Chuck E. Cheese was that in? Was that animatronic display? Whatever.
Wherever Natalie Portman was getting down on
Talking
what's
about
his name?
The ensemble of modification.
Who was that actor who was big very briefly, and everybody thought he was going to be a big leading man, but he just came to nothing?
Taylor Kitsch.
No. Yes. But no, the one in Closer. Who said, I'm a caveman. And so he was.
He didn't come to nothing.
Didn't he?
Was he the guy from 300?
No. That's a Scottish actor who also sort of came to nothing.
Yeah, it's Clive Owen. I know who you're talking
Yes.
about. The Scottish actor is
It
doesn't matter.
I know it, but it's on the tip of my tongue. A very salty tip. But
Okay.
anyway.
Okay, Shannon, remember to edit the stuff out about Demi Moore's tits and shit.
It's
Mariah,
it's the good vibrations
Mariah,
that they
we're not
talked about
using
in the
this
Beach
channel
Boys.
to peddle conspiracy theories. Stop. Put your phone here.
I want to do a conspiracy about the Beach Boys, though. How they
I am-
prophesize some of this from their surfboards.
Okay, what was I going to say?
Rattling chains.
Seriously, what? But you okay? I wanted to make a comment about
Got it out?
Keanu
God damn it.
Keanu lies.
Government, stop interfering with our broadcast. No one's even watching.
You can help. Just touch stuff.
I helped. After it stopped.
Thank you, Michael Jackson. I help. You can help. Start touching.
Okay, let's do this because your
I
phone's
wanted to
already
make
gone black.
I wanted to make a comment about Keanu Reeves.
Charisma.
The way he was delivering those lines, and he was trying to sound like he sounded 30 years ago with the same character, but it just sounded sort of really rough, almost like Harrison Ford doing an impression of the character. Like, party on, dudes. Did you hear that?
No.
Like, I don't think he's in that space anymore. I think he was struggling channeling his his older character from 30 years ago. I just heard a little bit of struggle in his performance. I think it was easier for Winter, because Winter has probably been practicing for this.
Prepping for this his entire life.
You can't go
The bulk
from,
of his youth has been prepping for this.
You can't go
before and after
to
the actual
Neo
films.
to John Wick and then back to this silly shit. I just don't think he's
I
practiced
think
for it.
I think that you can if you're more of a flexible actor, but he's not. I think he actually fought against this imagery. He probably didn't like that people saw him as some sort of stoner god.
We're at 1 minute 2 seconds and we're starting it again.
I'm not even sure what's happening. Why are they in prison? Is this like that one Star Trek film where they go to the prison planet?
Do you see what I'm saying about his
Did
vocal
they also
performance?
sort of dress them so that they would cover most of their skin so you'd see less of it?
No, when he's...
There's a feeling of them looking a bit stuffed and the
Right.
buttons are all the way up. What is that?
There are only so many places on a man's skin you can put a clothespin.
I'm just saying. Yes, and Jeff Bridges knows that.
No, but did you hear the way
to talk about Jeff Bridges, he's not afraid to show whatever he looks like.
Okay, but listen to that. When he delivers the final line, it's a little on the dark side. Is that like Buffalo Bill or is it Ted Theodore Logan?
He had trouble finding the character again.
Do you hear what I'm
obviously.
talking about?
But maybe that's a little resistance because he did become a leading man. He did have great success. Even now with the internet fame, the meme fame, he's very iconic and he's worked hard to have that, to get away from the Bill and Ted imagery. And now he's going back to it because he's a good, affable guy. He's going to do it if they put it together. Why would he turn them down? But I think in his head, he doesn't really want to do it.
What if he means to do that and that's Keanu's version of character development? What if he's like, oh, maybe Ted...
Did he mean to do that in Much Ado About Nothing, playing the villain? Where he tried to do a transatlantic Shakespearean accent?
No, but what if he's saying maybe Ted is a smoker and that's just what his voice sounds like at this point?
But I don't think he delved that far into the character development. I doubt his commitment to that.
So you think just in the last few minutes, I've thought more about the character than he probably did?
Obviously, just like the
Alex
Book
Winters
of Eli,
hasn't
we
been
thought way more about how that would play out
hasn't been
than
thinking
anybody
about
who was
anything
writing
but
it
this character in the
involved
dark
in
web for the last 10 years.
I don't know. He didn't come, okay, I'm sorry, Alex Winter. I didn't notice you so much as I noticed Keanu in this clip. Again, even if I'm being critical of Keanu's performance, I just, your eyes go to Keanu. You fall into the background. You are a passive personality. And that's okay. But maybe this just wasn't what you were meant to do with your life. And you should be glad that you were part of something so big.
But think about how many actors never get any kind of break.
Exactly. He should be proud that he had this at all.
Okay.
And that so many people are so nostalgic about it and embracing his character.
Most people who want to act don't get anything ever.
At all.
And
they end up, just doing whatever they can get.
It's like most people who play basketball don't get in the NBA. You can talk about the less
viral videos.
You can talk about someone like
theater.
AC Earl, who's like a lower tier player.
Am I too far away?
I don't know. You talk about someone like AC Earl, who's who didn't do much in the NBA, but he made it to the NBA. There's so many ballers out there who never got to the NBA. It's like Hollywood films.
I'm making
that
too. Point as well. I'm saying he should be happy. He was so. He played such an iconic character.
It's like Chinese food. Pork two ways. Yeah. Point made two ways.
Can we say mock pork? I find that very offensive. But he's I feel like he should be satisfied that he played such a beloved character in such a large franchise, which obviously made a lot of money and brought him a lot of fame, because he doesn't really come across strongly. And I don't know if that's an accident.
So I ask you at the beginning. I ask you at the beginning of the podcast. about why Alex Winter didn't have a bigger career, and I felt like you didn't have an entirely solid answer then, but having seen the trailer now, I think you...
I've had a lot of confirmation of things suspected.
I think your position has solidified in that, so the teaser might have been the final piece of the puzzle for you. It's like, that's...
something I was stitching together, the way Buffalo Bill stitched together those ladies' skin.
This is
I didn't have a full skin suit at the time, but I'm getting closer to putting the lotion on the skin. It's coming together.
So it's like you've...
I've seen the light, like a snake handler in the darkness.
But you saw
the deep holler.
You saw what you needed to see.
I saw what was in the woodshed, and it actually wasn't that upsetting. It just wasn't anything I needed to see again. Does this make us not want to see the film? Because I think we really were fans of the films at one point. I think we got hyped about it for a little while, like we got hyped about, the Spurs winning the championship. It's something you could just... It's an infectious feeling when you see something that's pretty good and you really like it, but it wasn't so good that you're going to build any kind of fan base around it. Although obviously many people have. There's a subreddit.
Is this some sort of revelation you're having that... we are actually not interested in Bill and Ted Face the Music. I think before 1 day ago you didn't know the film existed.
No, I did, and I was mildly interested, but now I feel like that tiny interest has been stamped out.
But outside
of
the moments where I was reminded that this film was being made, I didn't spend much of my life thinking about Bill and Ted. So it's not this, it's not this revelation I have that I'm actually not that interested in this subject.
Well, but also, I feel like it is something that you could have had fondness for enough to go see it, or to at least see it from your home on Netflix. And now I might pass it by.
Oh, you will be watching it on Netflix.
I don't know. Entirely because of the treatment of it. I feel like they did not have a very hip treatment.
Look, it might come together.
Are you talking to me or Alex Winter?
You mean... No, no. I mean, he's not going to put together some sort of big film career at this point in his career.
So is he the guy at the bar who wants to hear the song from Billy Joel?
No, I'm sure he's had a very...
wild and crazy time.
I'm sure he's very satisfied with his career, and I'm not in a place to be critical of him in any way. With Bill and Ted Face the Music, I'm sure it might come together still. We've had such a small glimpse into the film. I mean, what can you tell from 1 minute, 30 seconds? Apparently, judging by our reaction, you can tell everything. I'm sure you have a 100% certainty that you know exactly the kind of film it's going to be just by hearing a few of their lines delivered.
Well, you get the sense of the direction they took.
Is it like a big old roll of stinky cheese? It's like I only needed a nibble to know that I'm not going to like any of it. Is that what it's like?
I don't know if I like that comparison. It's more like it's just when somebody comes in with a very wrong idea for something and you just know that no, this is not appealing.
We've seen enough examples of similar attempts at reboots to see, this is not going to be a correction of any of the things those did wrong. This is just going to be another scalp.
But it's almost like with those films, because they were younger, they didn't really have those kinds of worries. And it's like when they did have those worries about they're older now, what do we do with that? Their reaction was to freak out and focus only on that, seemingly from what I saw. That we're just going to try really hard to find every way to make them exactly like they were in the previous films, and that's not natural, it's not organic, it's not believable.
In the last film, what path were they on? They were going to become literal gods that ruled over
not
the universe.
Just
whose music,
rock stars, but actual gods.
they were ascendant. They were going to be you know.
They were going to do the Heaven's Gate thing.
Well, not that. I was
Not
going to say like
really.
more like Frieza,
Brain
like some
scratch.
sort of intergalactic gods that had all kinds of influence across the universe amongst many different planets, but in a positive way rather than a negative way, like Frieza. Not like a conquer with love rather than conquer with hate. But I guess they felt like if they'd started
More like Green Lantern. I don't know. I'm grasping.
Green Lantern.
Didn't they have a society that was very positive and helped other planets?
Talking about the Green Lantern lore
Yes.
is like the worst thing you could have ever done in your life. Not in this moment. Ever.
Ryan Reynolds knows that better than anyone.
Do you think Ryan Reynolds learned
Although he
any
did
of?
meet Blake Lively.
Do you
on
think
that.
Ryan Reynolds learned any of the Green Lantern lore going into the film?
I get the feeling that he's a bit passionate about what he does, so
Okay,
he would
forget
take a
him.
lot of things very seriously.
Forget Blake Lively. Forget Green Lantern. If they,
No one will ever forget what she did.
what did she do?
Sorry, I just realized I can't.
That seems like where the story was headed, but I guess if they felt like if they'd started this film that way with Bill and Ted as being these seasoned elder gods, or not like gods, but like very influential figures in the galaxy.
They were supposed to become not Frieza, but Kami.
Well, forget that.
in a tower.
Forget Dragon Ball. Just sort of like eminent figures
Akira Toriyama's
known throughout the
Prime.
universe who had figures who'd created a seminal work that was beloved, and the work was their body of music. Their music had essentially become the language of the galaxy, the known galaxy. If that had actually happened and that had played out, and that's where they were when this film started, I guess they felt like there wouldn't be a
What if the real catastrophe in the film was that their music had done something to
Hold
murder
on,
a lot of
Ryan.
different.
You're about to make a much more interesting film. Just in what you just said, that's already more interesting than anything we saw in the trailers. What if their music sucked?
No, not sucked. I mean,
No,
what if it was?
yes, sucked.
Wait, no.
What if the universe? What if they were in a decrepit state because the universe realized, wow, these guys aren't as good as we thought they were.
No. Even worse. It's just mediocre music, but it's not that bad. But the point is that it's mediocre to us, but to some other aliens on other planets, it was actually something that murdered, like massacred. What do you call it? Just decimated planets, and they killed a lot of like kids and stuff. It was like Anakin in the Sand People huts, something like that.
Or
What
no,
if their music caused mass genocide?
What if a very militant planet?
And those planets, the remnants of those planets came back to fight them.
What if a warlike militant planet that was pursuant of a genocide of the people around them found inspiration in their music a la Hitler and Wagner? It was like
even
Wagner
better.
became the soundtrack of the Third Reich.
Their music becomes the soundtrack to an evil alien race.
the music of these dope heads, these
Well, the whole premise is to take it in a
Inadvertently.
darker direction that they had meant peace and love, but it had been misused.
That's fast. It's fast. I think it's a great idea for a Bill and Ted's movie, but they were never going to do that because one of the
It's not safe.
one of the goal. It's not about safety.
This needs to be safe.
It's
It needs
about-
to be as
it's
much
not
like what
safety.
people were nostalgic about
It's
as
that
they
it
can
needs.
possibly make
It's
it.
that it needs to rhyme, like pottery, and they were going to come up with something that looked like the other films, and it wouldn't be too much of a departure. It was never going to be that brave.
Yes. But yes, that's part of it, that you can see
It's
that they
basically-
didn't really have an idea of what to do with it.
The
at
menu.
This point.
What is on the menu? What is being ordered hypothetically? Is it we would like a new fascinating adventure with these characters in a place they could possibly be going on what we know about them from the other two, or do we just want to have a nostalgic recreation of the earlier film people love with all of the same jokes with the same actors? It's the
Yes,
second
but,
thing.
But the point
That's
is
what's on
that,
the menu.
But they can't recreate what they did before because they're older and it's a different day and age.
You can say they can't, but
different
I think they've
audience.
tried to do that. Did you hear those jokes? Did those jokes sound new and fresh, or did they sound like jokes that were left on the cutting room in the first
And it's
films.
not that they're bad in the first
Oh, we
films,
can't
that
do
kind
that.
of humor. It's that
That's stealing, bro. Those are literally like jokes cut out of the first film.
Yeah, but I feel like they tried so hard to make it look like the old films that it had no feeling
Okay,
of its
let's be
own.
fair. We've only seen a minute and 30 seconds.
I don't need to see more.
Maybe it still has a lot to show us.
There's some hustle coming my way,
Possibly.
but I just hate that they had, the shirts covering as much of their bodies as possible, so you can't tell if they've gained a little
Isn't that
weight
how
or
they
their skin
dressed
has
in the
gotten a little.
first films? Very
more-
baggy clothing.
Yeah, no, but this feels very constrictive almost. It's not like loose, baggy clothing a la the 80s style. It's very, just everything is covered. It's, it's odd. Like, they're ashamed to show older bodies, and that's disturbing to me. I don't have a problem with that, but it seems like they do.
Did you want them in tank tops?
Why not? That actually would have been very brave and very interesting. I think that would have been great. Even if they totally let themselves go and it was shocking to the audiences, the difference in their previous characters, the teenagers they'd had in the film before.
What if Bill and Ted were like
that still would have been interesting and got
employees
people's attention.
employees at Guitar Center wearing like inappropriately tight roadie clothing?
Yes, like roadie clothing from like the My Chemical Romance era.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had gotten forward to that era and not gone beyond.
Like,
that would be
and their look could
awesome.
change. What if they both had like spiked Guy Fieri hair, because that was
Yes.
sort of like what was popular at the time?
Yes, it's sort of an all-star sort of Smash Mouth look.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be so.
But no,
good.
obviously in this film,
Mark McGrath.
they have to have the look they had in 1989. So they're saying their look was
Well, no, they didn't even do that.
their look was Frozen in the early 90s.
They didn't even look like it. Looked like they were trying to make them look as young as possible, but also cover themselves as much as possible in a sort of like suburban
I
dad.
can show you the pictures.
kind of
I
way.
would bet money that they tried to recreate the hairstyles.
Yes, the hairstyles, and they've done something to their faces. It almost looks like, I would not be surprised to learn they'd use some sort of computer program to de-age them, because there's a little bit of an uncanny valley feeling.
Why not let Alex Winter be, bald?
That would be
Be
great.
bold. Be bold.
Yes, change their look entirely. I would love that. I would love them to just fuck with these characters. Give me something interesting. And because I think that's really what people on the internet want now. They see so much. It's not that they're looking for something better. They're looking for something to grab their attention in this cacophony or whatever of did I say that correctly?
Is it cacophony?
Cacophony of just things coming at you. There are so many interesting things to look at. You've got to do a little more to get my attention. Some guys that look like they've shown up at Walmart at 2 a.m. trying to get their kids, last minute, talent show, supplies together, and the soap their wife wants that they just ran out of. I mean, that just, in the neon lights of a, where I'm going with this. They just don't look very interesting. It's like they were so worried about them not looking like teenagers in the 80s and people reacting to that difference that they landed on, well, let's just make them nothing. Let's make them almost nothing. They will wear some plain clothes. We will button up to the chin. and have basically their same look, and we'll try to de-age them a little bit. Would they really have not grown or changed their style at all?
Yeah,
in all
if they
these
put
years?
a gold chain on Keanu, it would be almost like a cholo look with the button-up shirt.
That would have been more interesting. Go with that. I just feel like they failed. I like the actors. I like the old films. I just feel like they did not know what to do and they dropped the ball.